One type of lead, in many cases, is okay scaled up, but you want to have contacts with other vendors that offer similar leads and maybe even other types of leads that you're familiar with. So, for example, sometimes direct mail, I'm trying to think of a time in my career where this happened. I know it's happened for others where you buy one kind of lead or from a vendor, things are going great, and then all of a sudden, let's say this is what happened. This is a good example. Facebook shuts down the vendor's account. This has happened with a lot of people who self-generate leads or with vendors themselves. They're taking orders for leads, and then all of a sudden, because Facebook's on a power trip, they pull the account down. And there's nothing that you as the buyer can do. You just have to sit there and wait. And if you only have one vendor you use that's okay, and that vendor goes away, what are you going to do? You're now in a position where you have to experiment with other vendors, which may or may not have good quality leads. Whereas what I think a better strategy to do from a management standpoint is certainly have your primary vendor that you like and appreciate, that does well, that has high intent leads, et cetera. But make sure every once in a while, once you're scaled up and you're up and running, that you try a couple other vendors in addition to your main thing. I wouldn't say shut off your main thing to try some new leads, but I would every once in a while take a taste of what the other vendors have to offer, because there could come a situation where you run into your primary vendor temporarily not being able to drop mail or generate Facebook leads or whatever it is. So make sure you've got a backup contingency plan so that if something goes awry, that you can pivot a little less stressfully and use another vendor while the other one gets back up on its feet and is running up and going. Okay, and the last point here when it comes to lead management and doing it successful is you want to avoid being that agent that falls victim to the new shiny object lead system. This is something that happens to a lot of you guys out there that are newer, and those of you who are opportunists, you know, like the half glass full types. Most of us are. You really have to be on some level in this business. But on the flip side, you have to understand there are lots of businesses out to take your money. And your money is a finite thing, at least what you operate with, especially as you get started. And you want to make sure that you judiciously invest that. So the biggest problem and challenge you're going to run into is when vendors say they've got the newest lead that is so incredible, everybody's buying, the greatest thing since sliced bread. I could close these people with my, hands tied behind my back stuff, right? Be careful of going outside of the vetted, tried and true lead systems that your community of agents you work with and your IMO or agency works, and be careful of being the guinea pig for an unvetted, untested lead system. Again, of course, I teach this, but like many parents, it's do as I say, not as I do, right? I've been the guy that's pretty much tried every kind of lead system. And more often than not, I can tell you most of them fail. I've tried to come up with my own lead systems, barely broke even on that one. I've tried all sorts of different variations. Some of them work for a short time, other of them fail really quickly, or they're inconsistent in delivering leads. And the funny thing is, after being in this business since 2011, and I can only speak on the final expense side, I recommend what still works, what worked for me and what still works, which is direct mail leads. And probably the safest second bet are going to be some Facebook variation, whether you buy them from a trusted vendor or you self-generate them yourself. Everything else has its ups and downs. Live transfers can be great, but many times they're illegally generated and you're the target for lawfare from these litigants. They're professional litigants, ambulance chasers, and will allege you of DNC, do not call violations that you did nothing to cause. It was the vendor that was, in Pakistan that generated them, but they can't be sued. So you're the target. Or they're TV leads that are great, but very expensive, inconsistent in delivery, and are very high investment cost, and so on and so forth. So you really want to stick in your lane with what has been proven to work and not deviate from it.